So like as adults, we've got this like constant mind chatter that's trying to bring language to what we're experiencing. The language is very simple because the language is very childlike. We often can't hear it underneath that complex adult story that we're telling ourselves.
Wow.
So that's why it can be so difficult to try and work out what you're feeling because you're doing it from your adult perspective.
What's up, my beautiful love buckets? Welcome back to another episode of the JD Remedy. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. I am joined today by the beautiful Jemma Redman, who is a self-wholeness mentor for ambitious mothers. She helps them thrive as their whole self, and she has shared such an incredible journey of hers, her own personal struggles that she's been through, and how she uses her pain as her purpose and really gives back to this world and helps people overcome that grief and trauma and just find themselves. I really want to give a trigger warning for this episode. We do talk about stories of people that lost their lives to suicide, and we also talk about infant death. So if you have lost a child or lost someone to suicide or anything in relation to those topics, I just want to give you a warning that this may be a difficult episode for you, but just know that both myself and Jemma are here if you guys need support. Otherwise, you're welcome to skip this episode. But just a little warning. Other than that, I hope you guys really enjoy it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the JD Remedy. I am welcomed today by the beautiful Jemma. How are you, gorgeous girl?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm really good. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited. Jemma and I have recently connected through a online business program that we're doing together. I love being surrounded by empowering boss gals. So thank you so much for being here today.
You're so welcome. And likewise.
So tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so my name is Jemma and I'm a mum. I wear many hats, wife, mum, entrepreneur. And I used to be a career junkie, heavily addicted to stress.
Oh, no.
and all the other things.
We've all been there.
And all the other things. Just having this like perfect life, perfect life. I was really addicted to it. And that was until I had my wake-up call, I guess. And that was when I lost my firstborn son, Harrison.
So sorry. Yeah. It's okay, babe. Take your time.
So that was in 2017. And I was working full time. I was had a side hustle. I just opened a hot yoga studio, and I had all the things. I had the house, this materialistic life, and then bam, out of nowhere, my beautiful baby boy was born 17 weeks premature, and we thought that he was okay. Until 18 hours later, we had to make the heart-wrenching decision to turn off his life support. He had severe brain damage and pretty much was going to be a vegetable. So, as a first-time mum and leaving hospital that day, I knew that life was never going to be the same ever again. And I think, going back to that moment, I could not even have imagined that my life could have transformed the way that it has. And I've now reached a point where I am, whilst I do anything to bring my baby back, I am so grateful for everything that experience brought me. because it woke me up to life.
Mm.
It woke me up to life, and it made me realize that my world mattered. Nothing else mattered. And, I took extended leave from my career, and I eventually was diagnosed with PTSD. And I was doing all the things, I was going to therapy, and I just realized that something was missing. Something was missing. And I ended up, my husband and I decided to, there was all this like pressure on me to get back to the business, get back to the job. And I was just so broken. Like, I couldn't even walk into a supermarket without being triggered and being sent straight back to that hospital. And just, so overwhelmed with emotion. So we ended up deciding to sell everything, and start at square one again. And we moved into this tiny little caravan on my grandparents' property. And the I guess the intention was to be there for a couple of years whilst I healed. And I continued with therapy, but something was missing. And I ended up stumbling across this psychologist who was also very spiritual. And I guess when you lose someone, you kind of gravitate towards spirituality because you're looking for that like connection. So I stumbled across this psychologist that was into psychology, and just the things that she was saying was really resonating with me. I ended up doing a program with her, and she taught me how to reconnect with my emotions. And, going through this process with her, I actually realized that I'd been in pain for a really long time before my son passed away.
Wow.
My dad abandoned my mum and I when I was a baby, and he committed suicide when I was 9. And I had a really troubled, like adolescence stage, drugs, stealing, sleeping around, all the things. And then, I felt like I like drove myself out of my own hometown because of all the things that I was doing, And then I was like the pendulum. I went from, being a little rat bag that was acting out, that just wanted to be loved, to overachieving. And like, then it was like career and all the material things. And through going through this program, I realized that I was actually trying to feel worthy and loved and good enough. Through all this like overachieving and trying to be someone in the world, so that the program that I went through was just like absolutely incredible. And then it completely changed my life. And through going through it, Brené Brown talks about the brain doesn't discriminate against emotions. So all my life I'd learned all of these behaviors to suppress my emotions, right? And when I started to begin how to feel again, it was really hard because I was feeling grief, sadness, shame, all the things, not only from losing my son, but also the pain that I hadn't processed from losing my dad and the rejection from my dad. Whilst I was feeling those really big emotions, I also began to feel levels of happiness, joy, peace that I had never experienced before, and I never knew was possible. So by going there and learning how to feel my emotions again, I increase my emotional range, you know. Yeah, and you know, I guess there's like there's lots of practices out there for inner child type stuff, which is what I do, which is you know what I've learned how to do for myself and what I've incorporated into my programs. But I also I put this like mothering swing on it, because when you become a mum, you go through this like transformation phase, and there's this term out there that I think was coined back in the 1970s, I think, but it's become quite popular again now, and it's called matrescence. So like similar to adolescence, but matrescence. And you go through this like transformation phase, this like new evolving of what it's like to be a woman, but also a mother.
Wow.
And you get like this, you know, like this inner sacred like mothering energy, right? That you can mother your children with. But I think what is just so powerful and also transforms your ability to be a really present mom is by applying that same mothering energy to yourself.
Wow. To
your own inner little girl that, you know, has been in pain for all of these years. Yeah, you know, being that beautiful, nurturing, nourishing, space holding mama for her. Yeah. So, yeah, you know, like I've built this whole program around that process, that that like awakening process of understanding how you've been suppressing your emotions or yourself, how you've been suppressing like younger parts of yourself. And we do that through, you know, through drinking, through drugs, through shopping, through trying to change our physical appearance, through gaming, through gambling,
whatever you can.
all the things. You know, and I think it's funny how, you know, like drugs and alcohol and stuff, they get you know, society like thinks that they're quite bad addictions, but we can be fully addicted to like overachieving, and it is just as bad, because our emotions are energy in motion, and if we're not processing them, expressing them, letting them out, they manifest in us, and that's what creates disease. You know, both physical and psychological. So yeah, I'm so passionate now about helping mums, particularly, obviously because I'm a mum and my whole awakening journey was around becoming a mum.
Yeah.
But as mothers, we just have so much impact in this world, so much impact, because, you know, through everything that I've been through in my own self-healing journey, I've learned that, you know, you could come from a really loving home, and still have learned to suppress your emotions, to suppress parts of yourself, you know. And I think it's just as mothers, when we can hold that space for our children and allow them to grow as whole and not suppressing parts of themselves, but then also like the impacts that we have in our families too. So with the work that I've done on myself, the changes that I've seen in my mum, in my grandmother, in my husband, in my friends, the people that I go and speak to at the fruit and veg shop where I get my veggies from, you know, like we create these little ripples around us, and we just have so much impact. It is not even funny. So yeah. And I've recently discovered, well, I suppose in the last year, I've discovered a new depth to why I want to do this work.
Yeah, wow.
So my dad, he wrote letters to my mom when he decided to leave her. And my mum found these letters and gave them to me. And it's funny how like the universe only sends you what you can handle when you're ready to handle it. Because I wouldn't have been able to handle these letters up until when she gave them to me.
Yeah.
That these letters, you know, it's him explaining why he was leaving. And he was in a world of pain.
Yeah.
A world of pain. He had a really troubled childhood. He was a loner as an adolescent. He had no friends. He had no idea how to be in this world. And he didn't want to pass that on to a family.
That's heavy.
And yeah. And my dad was a writer. So it was funny when I was reading his letters, I felt like I was reading my own writing.
Wow.
Which was incredible because like I never had a physical relationship with him. So yeah, but he also wrote in these letters about how he was planning to write a book about these kind of self-discovery moments he was having to help other people. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So when I read this, I was like, oh, fuck, I got to do this.
Yeah.
I got to show other people how to do this.
Wow.
This, yeah, you know, like he's passed his pain on to me and I've been able to overcome it.
Yeah. Wow, what a beautiful connection. Do you because I know you said that you gravitate a lot toward like the spiritual side of things when you feel that loss. Do you connect with him now in your own ways? Like do you feel like he's watching you go through this process and you're almost living out what he needed to do in a way and now you're living it? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I a part of the process that I teach is a repair of relationship with mother and father, both individually. And we look at, you know, feminine, masculine qualities and how when the mother or father relationship is wounded, that those feminine and masculine qualities become dominant in your life. So for me, extremely wounded father relationship, and shadow masculine qualities have been energy is how I lived my life up until now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you live out kind of what you missed out on. Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, you know, craving the doing, the stability, the, you know, everything that a man provides.
Wow.
Craving it massively. But also, you know, it's funny, like I was attracting in male relationships, I was attracting men that were rejecting me as well.
Wow.
Because it was all in shadow. I had all of it, and I had absolutely no idea that, like, you know, I blamed my dad for leaving and that I had all of these unresolved feelings towards him. No idea.
Yeah.
No idea. But when I went through this process of repairing that relationship and then, you know, could understand him and have gratitude for him and acceptance of him, I then began to develop the, you know, the divine masculine qualities, you know. Yeah, and I very much feel connected to my dad. Like I quite often, like growing up, kind of felt a little bit like a black sheep because I've always questioned why and wanted to know the depths of things, you know.
Yeah.
And now I know that that's my dad.
Wow.
I know that that's his qualities, and I've reconnected with him. And one day when I'm ready, I will write that book with him.
Wow. Oh my gosh, I've got like tingles. That was incredible. The fact that you can come from this place of gratitude to look back and be thankful for what that experience taught you, no matter how traumatic it was for you and how much hurt you carried for such a long time, to now be in that position of healing and to be grateful is mind-boggling to me. Like, good for you. What a beautiful place to be in, right? Like, what a blessing to have that, and to know that he's, you know, whatever you guys believe in, but to know that he's definitely watching you on this journey, in my opinion, and living through you almost, is a blessing for you. Even though you didn't know him or have that relationship with him when you were younger, it's like you get to live out that relationship now in your own special way. That is really special. That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Okay.
I had a question around, to back it up a little bit. You were talking about your support system was helping you reconnect with your emotions, and you were suppressing your emotions for a very long time. And I think it's very normal for people that go through trauma to suppress their emotions, but to then, quote unquote, rebel into throwing all their energy into one thing. And most of the time it's a bad thing, like you said, all the gambling, drinking and things like that. Or the opposite, just completely burying yourself in work. It's almost like a distraction, right? Like we don't want to address subconsciously what we've been through. So consciously we just completely immerse ourselves in something to distract ourselves from really dealing with it. So for anyone that's listening that may have gone through trauma, what are some of the things to do with suppressing your emotions? What does that look like? How did you identify that that's what you were doing? Because to someone in the actual moment, no, I'm all good, gambling's fun, I don't have a problem. Or no, I'm just drinking socially, I don't have a problem. Like, how do they know, or how would they identify that perhaps they are suppressing their emotions and they've gone through that trauma?
I think one of the key things that I used to say was, okay, so not even like acknowledging it, so not even talking about it. So my dad taking his life and stuff, my best friends, they all came and stayed at my house after my son passed away to comfort me. And I started talking about it, and they were like, what the fuck?
Wow.
We have known you for 30 odd years, and how have we not known this until now?
Wow.
So like not talking about it. And also, if you do talk about it, or if it does come up, like not acknowledging the feelings that go with it. So, it's okay. It's all good. I'm all good.
Right. Okay.
You know, that happened in the past. But like, would you say that to a child that experienced that?
Yeah.
No.
That's really important.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'd be, oh, sweetheart, it's okay. You know, I'm here. I'm here. And also, I think, you know, this is something that a lot of us fall into, is that, and, you know, like as a society, it's been taught to us, right? So I think in like the 1950s or 40s, there was a common psychodynamic theory that we got to keep the kids happy, because if the kids become stressed, it creates what was it? It creates like obnoxious adults kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you think about it, like if a child cries, what do you want to do? Oh, baby, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, you know, and make them smile again. Yeah. But that is the act of teaching how to suppress your emotions. Yeah.
What do you
So
mean by that?
okay, so if somebody is feeling, you know, sad and really upset and hurt, the worst thing that you can do is go in and go, oh, but it's okay, and try and make a joke, or, you know, make them happy again.
Right.
Okay.
Acknowledging that feeling is okay. Like, let it pass. Let's move on, instead of asking
Yeah.
what is wrong and want to talk about it.
Well, no, not ask what is wrong and want to talk about it. Like, yeah, you do want to talk about it, but you want to hold space for that emotion.
Yeah, true,
You
true.
want to be there. And I do this with my son now, and I've been conditioned, right, to
Hmm.
want to make things happy all the time. So sometimes I just want to make him happy when he's upset, and I'll catch myself, and it's like, oh no,
Yeah,
you need to hold space for him to be upset.
yeah,
And then, because a child needs to learn that they can be upset, or they
yeah,
can be angry, or they can be jealous or whatever, but
yeah.
then they can move through it and
That's
return back
true.
to happiness, to peace, whatever. So yeah, it's just so common that, like, someone's feeling down and you just want to make them happy again,
Mm,
but that is suppressing it. You've
that's so
got to
true.
hold space for people to feel what they're feeling, and for their nervous system, for their brains to learn that it is safe to
Mm,
feel it, and that it doesn't last forever. It's
yeah.
just an emotion. And there's always I say that emotions are our teachers.
Yes,
And
100%.
yeah. And I guess with a lot of the clients that I work with, I attract the same kind of things that I do. So the
Hmm.
things that I have done my whole life, I see it in my clients because I attract it. And quite often it is stuck up here,
Hmm.
and we're wanting to make sense of whatever it is that is going on. So, like with my son passing away, right? I just had to make sense. Like, why did this happen to me? Why did this happen? What went wrong? Trying to make sense of it, trying to make sense of it. Couldn't find the answer. Could not find the answer. But when I started to feel the emotion, to let it process, to let it move through me, on the other end was the information that I needed.
Mm.
And it didn't come because I was desperately searching for it. It just magically appeared.
Yeah, because you were sitting with the emotions and processing them properly as well. But
Yeah. And the information, once I let that pain go through me, I could see, oh, I needed to wake up from
mm,
that materialistic life that I was living,
yeah,
you know. But I could not see that when I was in my mind, and the most, like, I don't think so I used well, I don't teach yoga anymore, but was a yoga teacher, and would teach breath work and stuff, but never actually fully got until I did
mm,
my healing, that the breath is a bridge between here and our body.
yeah. Wow.
And the emotion, the stuff that we've trapped, the stuff that we've not processed, it's all in here.
Yeah, it stays in your body for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
What do you think
Like
would have?
the
Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
What would have? What do you think would have happened if you didn't deal with that emotion properly after the loss of your child? Like, obviously, you know what it's like to suppress your emotions because of what happened after the loss of your dad. But after trauma after trauma after trauma, and not dealing with that trauma and continuously suppressing our emotion, that's when it gets to the dangerous levels of it continues to pile up. Have you had many clients with that experience that don't know how to deal with the trauma or emotion, and what kind of stuff can happen if they don't know how to deal with that emotion properly?
um well, basically, you live your life never kind of feels true to you.
Mm, yeah.
So it's kind of like you create this reality for yourself that you think is going to make you feel really good. Like, oh, when I finish that degree, I'll feel really good about myself, because then I'll be a doctor or whatever it is that you're studying. You place conditions on your happiness, and it's like it's things that are external to you. But when you can deal with your emotions, like that's when you get this like sense of like self-worth back. And you realize that that your happiness comes from within. And when you can feel your happiness from within, all of the things out there are kind of how do I say, they kind of like naturally come, and you don't like create this life based on, oh, my parents think, my parents will think I'm great when I own my own house, and when I've got this amazing job and all the things. You're kind of like more in tune to what you enjoy and what fills you up and what lights you up. And you start to realize that like anything is possible for you as well.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know if that really answered your question.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Yeah.
Good to cover anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. But you just like, if you're not expressing your emotion, you live this really suppressed life where you're relying on things outside of yourself to make you feel good. But it's like you don't actually ever feel good.
Yeah.
You get these tiny little moments of feeling, joy and happiness and stuff. But like when you can start going there with your bad emotions, you'll feel moments of like just walking along the beach and feeling like huge amounts of happiness and joy that you never knew possible,
Yeah. No, that's so true. And I think because I feel like we're only just moving into the space and time where we're learning about emotions, and we're learning that it's okay to ask for help and talk about how we're feeling. But for a lot of people, especially the older generations that may not know how to deal with their emotions, how would an adult start now to learn about those emotions and how they can deal with them? Because I'm sure everybody's carrying trauma. And like you said, it's manifesting into their life. Oh, I would see it as them chasing validation, maybe, because like you said, they can't get that gratitude from themselves. They can't light themselves up. So it's that constant need to chase that small window of, I'm happy temporarily, but then like I need something else to feel that validation again, or I need to feel something else to fill my cup. They never feel it internally. They're always seeking it externally. So what would an adult do to start to learn how to deal with their emotions and feel them properly without the guilt, hopefully? So obviously children, we can help by instilling that into them. But as an adult, where we've already learnt those patterns to suppress, how can we then undo that?
Yeah. So this part can be really hard. And I think to start by just noticing that it's hard. I talk about, so like as adults, we've got this like constant monkey mind, this constant mind chatter that's trying to bring language to what we're experiencing. And the thing is that emotions, the language is very simple. And I think that's why, we talk about like inner child and stuff, because the language is very childlike. And we often can't hear it underneath that complex adult story that we're telling ourselves.
Wow.
So that's why it can be so difficult to try and work out what you're feeling, because you're doing it from your adult perspective, trying to really make sense, make meaning. But the first step is, so it's good to like notice what your mind wants to do. But the first step is body connection. It's like just simple breath. body connection, noticing sensations.
Being present.
I guess the process that I take my clients through is we go through like a timeline exercise first, where we look at shame stories first, like points in their life where that feel particularly painful or unresolved. We look at those first, and try and connect with like how that younger part of us felt. And then I teach them a process to heal that, to find that gratitude and compassion for that younger part of ourselves. Because often we berate that younger part of ourselves. We're like, I can't believe I did that, and like it's so shameful, and so I teach them that first, like that self-compassion. And then we go into mother-father stuff. And why I do that next is because the mother-father stuff is the stuff that happened between, ages 0 to 7. And they're often experiences, well, they are always experiences that we keep repeating. So once we can see these patterns in our life through experiences that feel painful and unresolved, we can then relate those back to how we felt in relationship with our caregivers. So what was your question initially? So you asked me, how can people begin to start feeling their emotions
as an adult?
Yeah. So when you go through that process and you're able to like really understand yourself and what core emotional wounds you have, you can then start to recognize them really quickly in everyday situations that are happening in your life. And you can go, and it gets a lot easier to recognize, I'm people pleasing here because I'm scared of rejection. And it gets easier to hear that childlike voice that I just want to be loved. I just want to be loved. And then you go through this process of, recognizing that. And everyone's different. They might want to journal it out. They might just want to, I'm a mum, so I'm quite busy. I don't often journal. But I can recognize those stories quite quickly, and I make space for myself,
Yeah.
If it means ending my workday early and giving myself some space to go and sit at the beach and have a little bit of a cry, and then, do something nice for myself afterwards to help myself feel better. Yeah, so it can be quite a process. But yeah, like the first step is just acknowledging that you don't know what you're feeling.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're feeling. Holy shit, you don't know what you're feeling. Breathe. Notice any sensations in your body.
And just allow it to happen and be
in
the moment. Because like you said, a lot of the suppression comes from saying, it's okay, don't worry about it, and wanting to move on. So fighting that natural urge to just move past it, put your ego aside and just, allow yourself to feel whatever you need to.
And a lot of the times, like we just subconsciously reach for whatever it is. Like, it might be like online shopping. And you don't even realize it. You just, all of a sudden you find yourself sitting there for hours looking for stuff, picturing yourself going, oh, will I look good in that? Will I look good in that? But if you stop and take a breath and think about what's really going on for you, is this something happening right now where I'm not feeling like I'm good enough, like I'm worth it? Yeah. So a lot of the times it's like noticing your behaviors, the behaviors that that you've learned to make yourself feel better. When you're doing those behaviors, what is actually going on? Stop, breathe. What's going on?
Yeah. That's so interesting that you said that, because I recently had a guest on, Yana, and we were talking about like mindless eating, and we were saying for some people it's not enough to just want to lose weight, right? It's breaking the patterns. Why are you doing the bad habit in the first place? What's going on for you subconsciously when you're pushing that emotion to the side, or whatever you don't want to deal with, that you distract yourself by just eating, because it's the habit of eating, it's the habit of smoking, it's the habit of online shopping or gambling or whatever it is, that you're trying to avoid what's coming up for you. So I love that you said just make sure you're present with whatever's going on and take the time to breathe and have awareness of it. And with a lot of my clients, I know you're qualified in NLP, yeah? No, okay. So we actually talk a lot about belief systems and patterns and things like that, that happen from ages of 0 to 7. And we call it limiting beliefs, but we do a lot of that work subconsciously, right? And that's hard for someone to do for themselves. So you normally have a coach. But I thought it was really interesting that you called it your childlike voice. I don't know if they're the same thing, but in my mind, it's your childlike voice. So if you thought of it in the moment where you are being a people pleaser, or you're seeking validation, or whatever you're doing, sitting there in the moment, taking a breath and saying to yourself, what would 3-year-old Jade be saying now? What does 3-year-old Jade want right now? Like, what's that child version of you really screaming out for? And how can you sit and be present with that child version of yourself and just tell them and listen and be there for them, and then do something, rather than, like you said, the adult stories and patterns that we've taught ourselves kind of completely take over and don't allow that child to be heard. So that blew my mind. That was a really cool way of looking at limiting beliefs and what's going on internally.
Yeah. So I'm not NLP qualified, but I have come across it and do kind of vaguely understand it. So what I use is a technique called the 3 Cs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, becoming conscious. So it's that, like, what am I doing right now? I'm eating to make myself feel better, becoming conscious, getting curious about what's really going on here. And then you go through, that process of, like, holding space for your childlike voice, your inner child. I call it my inner little girl. Yeah. And then like, once you've done the processing and you know these, like, common wounds. So, like, for me, it's rejection. Yeah. Rejection is obviously one of my wounds. And you kind of come up with, like, these beautiful, I call them counter narratives for yourself, to support yourself, to lay those new neural pathways. There's always, like, there's like this beautiful, nice, spiritual, nurturing language, but then there's always a science that backs it up as well, because science and spirituality are the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you come up with this beautiful, like, nurturing, caring counter narrative for yourself to lay those new neural pathways and create, new self-loving habits as opposed to self-sabotaging habits.
That's true. That's really cool. And a lot of people aren't aware of the sabotaging thought patterns or beliefs that they may have, because it's something that you experience from 0 to 7. Not a lot of people have conscious awareness of what it is. It could manifest in the form of, like, you never get outside your comfort zone. You never ask for a promotion. You never ask for a raise. You never get in a relationship. It's because of fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of, not being good enough, or fear of not being loved, whatever it is. A lot of people don't actually have awareness that they're holding themselves back in fear of something that they experienced when they were younger. So that's why I always, always promote personal development and getting to know yourself, because once you have awareness of all of those things that have been holding you back and going through that challenging but very rewarding process of letting go and, just being really gentle with yourself and really present, it opens massive doors and just huge awareness for you. I think it's such a beautiful process.
Yeah. And you know what? I think that, we're all afraid to feel pain. But in fact, pain is where growth lies.
Huge lessons in pain.
Pain is safe.
Mm-hmm.
Pain is safe. It's okay to feel pain. Yeah.
And like you said, it's sometimes pain is a great awakening, right? Like in order to become our true self or have that next step in our life journey, it's feeling the pain of closing one chapter and opening another, whether that's a breakup or a loss of someone, in a really intense moment, or just a breakup or getting fired from a job. It is that temporary pain, or sometimes long pain, of moving into that next step of yourself and your life. So it comes with pain, but it also comes with something new, I suppose.
Yeah. And I think it's, we just need to be more aware of that. Like in some Buddhist traditions, they welcome pain because they know that there is grace in suffering, and just, one thing that I learned that absolutely blew my mind when I started to, like get into emotions and all of that sort of thing was that in the East, mental health, the term mental health is not even a thing. Not even a thing. Because in the East, they are taught that, like the yin and yang symbol. So like to have the good, you must have the bad. Like it's duality. It's, like they have to coexist. You can't just have the good.
Yeah.
Pain, suffering in life is inevitable because everything dies.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it depends on what your beliefs are, but suffering in life is inevitable. So, but like that just absolutely blew my mind. It was like, oh my God, in the West, we are taught that mental health is like a bad thing, and like we need to take antidepressants, and you get stuck in therapy, and anyway, really blew my mind. Really blew my mind.
Yeah. So you can talk to me a little bit more about your program that you do, because I know you mentioned you do the timeline therapy. You move into the caregiver relationships, which is obviously we've talked about now with what happens from 0 to 7, whether it's your relationship with your mom or your dad. What else do you take them through? Just lightly talk us through the process from A to Z.
Yeah. So I guess my program incorporates a lot of what I learned from my mentor, and her. I think she's going through like the certification process at the moment to get it recognized as like a alternative therapy accreditation or something, and it's called open-hearted psychology.
Wow.
So I incorporate a lot of that framework into it, but also my own experience. I incorporate some Buddhism stuff. I'm a yoga and meditation teacher as well, so I incorporate that stuff too. But I guess there's 3 phases that we move through, and the first is awareness. So that's like understanding, societal intergenerational conditioning, understanding like the science side of things, and how emotional suppression starts and how it has become a intergenerational thing, which I think is particularly powerful for mothers because, we're literally caring for the next generation. So whatever we do, sets up the next generation. So we go through like this awareness phase first, and then the second phase is where we do like the root cause repair. And my career that I came from was in risk management, root cause kind of area. So I draw on that philosophy a bit, and it's kind of like, getting to like the root cause of your pain and repairing at the root. So we do, I introduce a lot of strategies, techniques, to really understand yourself more deeply and where those core wounds occurred. And then the last phase is purpose.
Yeah.
And purpose is particularly important, especially for mums, because you do go kind of through this like identity death when you become a mum. And you kind of start looking for this like new purpose. Like, yes, you're raising humans.
Yeah.
But being a mama in this modern world, you know, like we're ambitious. We want to create impact. So we go through this purpose phase where I show mothers how they can use their core wounds to help others. So whilst everybody's experiences are individual and unique to themselves, there's common themes.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I attract women that have experienced similar situations to me. And women that I work with will attract women that have experienced a similar thing as well. So I teach them how basically their wounds are gifts, and how they can use them to help others, whether that be just in their family, because, you know, if they're dealing with these core wounds, chances are that their mum, their grandmother are also dealing with them.
Yeah.
So whether So whether they use their gifts to help just within their family, within their community, or if it's the work that they end up doing in the world.
How has that felt for you, using your wounds as your gifts? How's that journey been for you?
So I had to go through this stage of complete detachment, because for a long time there, I was desperately searching for my purpose to feel worthy.
Yeah.
So I had to go through this phase, and like I was looking for it hard. I was looking like in so many different, like, you know, business opportunities and stuff, like, you know, and I had to just completely cut off. And I went through this phase of just being me, just doing what I needed to do, to nurture and to nourish myself and to nurture my family. And when I let go and when I was there, eventually it all came through. So, and I have to regularly check in with myself, and am I doing this to feel worthy, to feel enough in this world? Or am I doing it for genuine impact and for genuine collective healing? To genuinely help the world feel more love.
A good question. And it takes a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of self-acceptance and being able to be gentle with yourself to maybe admit that some of the stuff we do is because we're seeking that validation or connection or whatever it is that we're craving, or are we just coming, or are we serving from a place of, you know, giving and love and connection and stuff like that. So I think we're all humans, and it is okay. Like, even if we work on ourselves, we're never going to be perfect. It's this constant life journey. You should always want to work on yourself, always want to get to know yourself and just be the better version of you, and just be really gentle with yourself. So it's okay to have those thoughts of, sometimes I just need a bit of validation, or sometimes I'm finding myself, or whatever it is, but just to be gentle with yourself. And as long as you're coming from a place of love, it's good. We're giving back to the world.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point that you make. I use this other analogy in my program that, you know, what we learn as a child, these behaviors, these thoughts that we've learned, they are like thick oak tree roots in our garden. If we imagine our brain as a garden, they're like thick oak tree roots that are always going to be there. Always. But when we learn to self-heal, and when we learn to understand ourselves, and we create these beautiful nurturing strategies to help ourselves be more of ourselves, we're planting like little seeds in other parts of the garden. So those thick roots are always going to be there, and they will appear. They will appear. But when you plant in these other parts of the garden, you can recognize them more.
Yeah.
And you can step in and you can, use your tools to not let yourself go down that rabbit hole that is really dark.
Yeah. And I suppose using that same analogy with the garden, like it's good to have that thick, sturdy oak tree, right? And we can't control that first seed that's in the garden because that's what started the garden, but we are in control of what flowers we plant and what we allow to grow after that, right? Once we're aware of what the garden looks like, I'm buying the seeds. Like it's up to me what seeds we're planting and how often we water it. And another analogy, are we hiring a gardener or are we allowing the garden to die on its own or blossom on its own? So you're completely in control of what your garden looks like. So there you go. It's the title for your book. Grow your garden. How to grow your garden. Oh, beautiful. Well, I just want to say thank you so much, Jemma, for everything that you've shared with us today and just allowing us to come on this beautiful journey with you. I know myself for sure, and the girls that are listening, and for anyone that's listening, has got some amazing takeaways and value from you today. But I'd love for you to tell everyone where they can find you if they want to reach out or seek some more help from you. Where can they find you?
Yeah, sure. So my website is still under construction, hopefully another couple of weeks away. Probably the best place to go to now is my Instagram, which is I think it's Jemma.Redman. I've just recently changed it. If anybody knows me, you'll also know that my surname is actually Pyfenua. And the Redman thing is my father's surname. So I've decided to take his surname. Wow. Yeah. So
that's beautiful.
Head along to. Oh, thank you.
Incredible.
Thank you. Also, no one can say Pyfenua, can pronounce it.
Thank Dad. Helping the business.
That's another good reason. Yeah.
Wow.
So
cool.
Yeah, on my Instagram, there'll be a link in my bio where you can sign up to the wait list. And yes, I will be launching a new round of the program once my website is live. But at the moment, I actually have, I'm still beta testing my program, which means if anybody's keen to come in and try a beta round, they will receive a huge discount. So if you're interested, please reach out.
Amazing. And I will leave all of her details in the show notes of today's episode, guys. So make sure you jump in there now, give Jemma a follow, check out what she's doing, and just show her love and support. DMs are always open for both of us if anyone needs any help. But yeah, I just want to say thank you again for coming on the show, coming on the show, babe. Thank you so much for being a part of it.
You are so welcome.